How's it going, everybody? Tall Tesla guy here. Well, it appears that Elon had one more present left in his Christmas bag coming into 2021. Now we're nearly into the second month of 2021, but they let us know that, hey, we've still got some more surprises up our sleeves. If you noticed yesterday, if you have this unhealthy obsession with Tesla like I do, you noticed that their website completely redesigned coming into today. So not only did they change the way that the design of the website looked, the flow from top to bottom, when you're scrolling through the vehicles, getting into the features and the imagery and stuff like that, they completely changed the way the inside of the Model S and the Model S look. Now, we kind of talked about this before. We thought that this might happen. I threw a couple of videos together talking about potential Model S changes down the road and creating efficiencies of design and manufacturing, that it only made sense for them to adopt some of the features that they had in the Model 3 and the Model Y in their Model S and X line. Now, they also did something that was a little odd coming into December. They shut down the production lines for the Model S and the X. In fact, Elon even said that he is trying to completely wipe their inventory out of old Model S and X's. So up until this change happened, they wanted to just wipe out their inventory. Now, that made me think that they're working towards a complete refresh, redesign of not only the production line, but also the interior, maybe the exterior of the S and X. Now, they did make some subtle changes on the outside of the S and X. They adopted the chrome delete that they had. They put in some of the swoopy designs a little bit. Nothing as dramatic as what we were hoping or thought they might do. They still have those falcon wing doors that people either love or hate on the X. But for the most part, everything that changed happened on the inside. So the Model S and the X are getting a heat pump that the 3 got and the Y later adopted. They also have a complete redesign of the interior. They still have the bifurcated display underneath the steering wheel, but they have a horizontal infotainment screen instead of the vertical one that you were used to seeing in the X and the Y. Now, we saw that in the Cybertruck before, and we thought they might adopt it in the S and the X just because the Y and the 3 have it already, and it only makes sense to get that efficiency in manufacturing and then move it over to those other vehicles as well. So that finally made it in there, but they added a couple other features. There's the wireless chargers. It's the same kind of design that they have in the 3 and the Y. They also have an updated center console. They have the matte finish on it. They have a tri-zone climate setting that you can have for it to adjust the climate in the back and the front. But the biggest thing, the biggest glaring thing that if you check the forum, people either love it or hate it, and people can't even figure out how they're going to drive with it, is this new steering wheel, right? This new yoke people are talking about. It's not a full circle anymore. It's actually only a half circle. So you're missing the whole top part of it. So long gone are the days of 10 and 2. The most you'll be able to get is 9 and 3 on this now. Not sure how you're going to be able to drive and manipulate this, but what it does is completely free up the display zone from the middle of the steering wheel up. Whether or not you thought that was important, it does make it look sporty. I mean, there's no questioning that. People thought it was odd in the Cybertruck design to have a steering wheel that was on both sides, but you still get the bottom. And we know that Elon is trying to design these vehicles for future full self-driving. I guess it makes sense down the future. Maybe it's a little bit of future thinking that came a little bit early, but nonetheless, time will tell whether or not it's adopted by the public or people actually like it once it finally does launch. But nonetheless, the bifurcated screen is still there. The screen right directly behind the steering wheel. Now, Elon hinted that he was going to get rid of it. You didn't need it anymore. Well, he kept it. Right. This complete redesign has it in both the S and the X. It does make it look sporty. I think it looks nice. It doesn't bother me that it's there, but I also don't mind looking at the infotainment screen when I'm driving. I've found that it's right in my peripheral view. I can see the speed that I'm driving. I can see everything that's going on around me. It never bothered me, and it was an instant, kind of adjustment going from traditional ICE vehicles to this design. But keeping that screen there does make it look nice. But one of the super neat things that they did do is add in a rear-facing infotainment system display screen kind of thing. So, for your passengers that are in the back, maybe that can't see the screen on the front, and then you have your passengers in the back that want to play video games or want to watch Netflix or want to do something else on the screen. Well, now they've added a screen back there. Now, before they used to have air vents there, and they would have two USB-C plugs in there. Well, the USB-C plugs have moved it down a little bit, and you actually have a small infotainment screen. You can play games on there, you can watch Netflix on there, but more importantly, you can control the back stuff by yourself from that screen. Click on that screen and turn off your seat heaters. You can also make adjustments to your airflow and your vents and your temperatures all independently of the front from the back through the screen now. For the most part, it's a fantastic upgrade. It looks super neat, and I think it adds to the styling and kind of the futuristic design plans of what Elon has with this car. So, let's talk about when it's coming. So he says late 21. Now we're in early 21 right now, and we've seen stuff like that happen before. We know that there's a difference between real time and Elon time. However, with the shutdown of the production line, we kind of figured they were retooling the machines for the Model S and the Model X. So it's more realistic, or a lot more realistic, that it would actually be coming out later on this year. They need a little bit more time to tweak it and then be able to kind of launch it into production. They're also talking about changing their Fremont factory around to X and S production only. They're talking about getting another Giga press in there, even larger Giga press than what they had in Giga Berlin. And then of course, most of the Y and the 3 are going to go down to Austin. So, the separation of the factories like that allows them to do, a lot more with the production efficiencies. So it wouldn't surprise me if it does come maybe even early. I mean, they were 3 months early on the Model Y launch when it came out. Now, this is obviously the luxury designs or luxury lines for the cars, so there isn't as much of a push to get it out there, but it wouldn't surprise me if it came a little bit earlier than late 21. But time will tell on that. So let's talk about the cost a little bit too. So what they also did with this is, before yesterday, you were able to look at your Model S and you could see a long range version, you could see a performance version, then you could see a Plaid version. The Plaid version was the $139,000 one. And this is before changing the paint, changing the wheels, adding full self-driving, that sort of stuff. Just the standard issue, sub 1.9 second, 520 mile an hour range. Model S Plaid. Well, now what they did is took away the performance. They changed the performance to a Plaid. They also have the long range in there, and then they added a Plaid Plus. Now the Plaid Plus is what we were talking about before, but they also put in plus 520 miles of range. It's got a sub 1.9 second 0 to 60, which is ridiculously fast. It would be the fastest vehicle on Earth, sports, production, anything. Something unheard of. And then there's also just a regular Plaid, which is actually really their performance from before, and then the long range edition Model S. Well, the Model X also has a Plaid version now too, so you have the long range and the Plaid on the Model X. Now the Model X Plaid only gets 2.3 second 0 to 60, but essentially it's a souped up sporty minivan that's going 0 to 60 in 2.3, which is ridiculously fast, and especially for as beefy and heavy as the Model X is, it's absurdly fast that they can do that kind of thing. Now they're also kind of hinting towards the 4680 battery, the new battery that they launched during Battery Day last year, or they talked about anyway. I mean, to get 520 plus miles of range on this Plaid Plus Model S, they're going to need to have this new battery technology in there. So, in order to do that kind of stuff, they're going to have 4680. So they're really banking on the technology, or their production of this particular type of battery that pulls away from the cobalt and uses dry cell technology. They're talking about, they're really kind of banking heavily on this actually coming into fruition. So time will tell on that, but if it does, a 520 plus mile range vehicle will probably become closer to the standard moving forward. So, if you have $140,000 or maybe even $157,000, $990, burning a hole in your pocket, you might want to put down your $100 deposit on your Model S Plaid Plus, because there's a potential you'll get it down the road, a little bit down the road there, later on in 2021. So, with all this kind of changes and stuff like that, some of this I think is going to trickle back down to the Model Y and the Model 3, but time will tell on that as well. So we're not sure if we're going to get that, half yoke, if they're going to completely remove the gear shifter stocks, which are completely gone in this. Let me know in the comments what you think about some of these design changes, if they're too radical for you, if you think that that's just too futuristic and crazy. And, certainly if you've made it this far in the video, think about liking, think about subscribing, put videos in there all the time. Neat things that happen with Tesla, but also different technology and lifestyle changes and everything like that as well. So hope you guys enjoyed watching. Really appreciate you guys viewing and tuning in each week and all that kind of stuff. So hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Stay safe out there.